Hi, I'm back. So I just want to go over Words on the Move. And actually, I wrote the longer title of the book that it's from, because this is an excerpt of the book. And the longer title is Why English Can't and Won't Sit Still. And I thought that was interesting, right? Similarly to how new words are born, what is this title doing? What is it doing? Think about it for a second. What kind of figurative language is that? Why English can't and won't sit still. Well, how can English, right, a language, sit still? Again, it's being personified, right? So we're personifying, and in a sense, it's creating a metaphor, right? Words on the move, as though words are these living beings. So if we want to look at some of the similarities, which I drew a Venn diagram here to show, I think one of the first things is, of course, it's all about language, right? We know that. It's all about words, it's all about language. But also, both are personifying words, okay? And in a sense, language. I think that what these authors are trying to tell us is that it's a fluid process. It's not fixed, it's fluid. It's like water, right? It keeps flowing. It continually changes. You can't stop it. We can't pause it. We can't grab it and hold it. It just simply fluidly moves and rotates as it goes around. So what is the point of this? What is the point of Words on the Move? Well, I highlighted a couple things for myself as notes. One of the main things that caught my eye is he says, it's always a safe bet that a word will not be tomorrow what it is today. Literally, does he mean tomorrow? Probably not, right? I don't think tomorrow, a word that we speak, is all of a sudden going to be gone. But I do think what he means by tomorrow is that the future, right? We don't know how near or how far. But there are words that certainly come in and out of our vocabulary, right, pretty quickly. So a word that, long time ago, the word cool, right, it used to be, basically something that was, super exciting. It was a big compliment, right, to say cool. Then hot became, right, the newer one. So we went from cool to hot. Very big leap there, actually. But as you could see, those two words really don't have any connotation with something being exciting or new or fresh or anything you want to say. They're just words that were adopted and used over time by different groups, mostly by young people, which is usually how new words are born. And another thing that he talks about that I just highlighted was making peace with the euphemism treadmill. Now, what is a euphemism treadmill? A euphemism, right? What does it mean? It's a word that we use when we don't feel comfortable talking about something, right? Because something is too touchy, too vulgar, too taboo, or whatever you want to say about it, right? So what he's saying is that over time, words that used to be considered maybe, that someone was looking down upon someone else or insulting or any number of things, they were changed over time to make something that sounded better. Whereas as time progressed, people didn't like it anymore, and then they changed it yet again, and then again, and then again, right? So we have home relief, which way back, right, in history, home relief was considered a very positive thing. It was aid to people who needed it. But then it became a negative connotation, and people didn't want to be called that they were having home relief anymore. So then the term welfare was invented, and welfare was a very positive term for a while until it became negative, right? Once it got the negative connotation, it was then changed again to cash assistance. So we see that cash assistance has been making new strides in language. And it talks about cash assistance as sort of the last of those. I wonder what will be next after that, because I'm sure over time people will start to want to change that. The same thing happened with, let's see, the word crippled, right? So crippled was changed to handicapped. Handicapped was then changed to disabled. And then some prefer differently abled, and then special needs. So we see this huge move, right? Words on the move. A word that was kind of, or a phrase that was kind of born, changed, transformed, moved on, and keeps going and keeps going around that river, okay, that the words float down, that long, long river. So as you could see, if you start thinking about the differences and the similarities, all right, both emphasize the importance of language. Both emphasize, well, actually, let's talk about the English language because they are centered around English. So let's specify. They both talk about personifying words as though they're real living beings and that they are constantly changing. So they talk about the constant change, right, of words over time. there's more similarities also if you want to think about them. What are some of the differences? What things are different between them? Not just in the content, but let's think about the style of the writer. Let's think about the purpose of the writer. Let's think about the way that the writer expresses ideas, the examples that the writer uses. Well, I think the first thing that stands out for me is that Words on the Move is organized more in essay format, whereas How New Words Are Born is more like a classification essay, right? So this one, we have a classification essay, and we have more of a standard paragraph essay, right? That's one major thing there. I think both authors are really trying to prove a point to us, but they do so, I think, pretty differently. We have the one kind of talking about, but that isn't what it's supposed to mean, he says, right? So he's actually addressing our concerns and then responding back as though he knows what we're thinking, and then he's going to kind of, right, have a rebuttal for it. So I feel like McWhorter in Words on the Move is kind of more prepared for us to be maybe not argumentative, but maybe to be a little confused or uprooted by what he's saying, and he kind of defends it a little bit. So he addresses the reader more, I think, and he kind of provides answers to common questions he thinks we might have. Whereas I think that if we look at How New Words Are Born in the classification, he doesn't quite do that. He just kind of introduces, he explains how all these new words are born constantly, and here they are, right? So he provides all these distinct categories, right, and many, many examples. I think he provides many more examples. Sorry about that noise outside. Just some, I think, lawn mowing going on. But I'll be finished very shortly anyway. So he categorizes and he provides many examples here, whereas I feel like maybe there could be a bit more examples in Words on the Move. That's just my preference. So there are less examples here. He gives a few concrete ones and then he moves on. So just some food for thought. I think another thing that we need to look at is the very end. How do they conclude their readings? Right, so we have McWhorter saying, it's always a safe bet that a word will not be tomorrow what it is today. In fact, sometimes words don't just change their meaning, they lose their independence and become parts of brand new words entirely. So he kind of surprises us at the end, right? He says, don't be surprised if a word falls off the map, but you might see it again in another form. Okay, so it's going to come back to you. It's going to reinvent itself. So I like that ending. Then when we look at How New Words Are Born, when he ends, he says, but today, when it comes to word formation, there's only one player in town, the portmanteau. Is this a bodacious development or a disastrous catastrophe? Or a disastrophe, sorry. I even said it, a disastrous catastrophe. That's what it sounds like, but he combined it. He says, I'll get the debate rolling tomorrow. So he kind of ends with a little bit of humor and sarcasm. So they both end differently, but they both make a strong conclusion, I think. So it's up to you. Which one did you enjoy more? Why is that? And what else can you fill in for some of the differences or similarities? You can work on that. All right. So I hope to see you all in the discussion, and talk to you soon.